Alright, so this is going to be a look at the Super Sketch for the Commodore 64. It's by Personal Peripherals and it is from 1984. So I got this on eBay. I think I paid about $45 to $50. It wasn't new, but it actually had the plastic kind of on it. It was open. It was clearly open. But it wasn't, it's in nice condition. So it has a cartridge, which is great. It means it's a lot faster loading than it would be if it was on a disc. It has the actual Super Sketch. It also comes with the manual. Warranty. I'm going to send that in. And then a starter kit. So let me show you what those things are. So here's the owner's manual. And it's going to obviously tell you how to draw different things. It is complete. You can do a bunch of things. You can draw, you can obviously erase, you can fill. There's different lines, there's different brushes, there's different fills. And then there's an expert menu, and you're going to see that you can draw straight lines, rays, horizontal, verticals, boxes, circles, and things like that. You can copy things even. And then some of the cool things are the mirror and the quad and the flip, which lets you do some cool things. You can enter text. You can theoretically do tables like this. You can zoom in. Business use, again, like that seems like it'd be crazy. And part of the issue is I don't think that you can print from here, which is troubling. You can save, but you can't print as far as I know. So here's a starter kit. My sense of this is, and I've tried it out already, is that it's pretty well done. For 1984, it's pretty good. So your first drawing, and it gives you, number by number what to do, how to do it, so that you can draw the bird. Then there's a bunch of other sketches. There's a quick reference card, which is useful, and then one more sketch. So the way that these cards are used, you can press this release, and it's going to lift up this, and you can then stick it underneath there so it doesn't move. And in essence, what you're doing is you're tracing along the bird. Okay? And you can see in general how it moves, and then whatever you're drawing is going to be replicated on the screen. There's some basic controls. Lift. If you're pressing lift, basically, it allows you to move, because otherwise when you drag it, if you went from here to here, and you weren't pressing the lift button, you'd have a line there on the screen. And again, there's a lift on both left and right side. So let's see this thing in action. Alright, so it'll be super helpful to have a working Commodore 64 to use this. The cartridge obviously goes in the back. The sketch pad itself plugs in, so it plugs in right here. I put it in joystick port 1. Be aware if you're buying one of these that it has this white adapter. I bought one previously that did not have that adapter, and so I could not plug it in, and so it was basically unusable. Turn the TV on, and the Commodore 64, and you should see a screen come up. Super Sketch, press menu to proceed. So again, the menu button on here. And I'm just going to do a quick overview, then I'll show a few more of the details. So this, you can see first of all that as I go up and down, this also is going down. So I can select another color. I can select brown by hitting brown. I can do gray. I can do light blue, whatever. And this is going to let me pick some of these other things. So right now I'm on draw. I could go to erase. But let me just show you the basics. Since I'm on draw, what I want to do is press lift, and it will get rid of the menu, but I want to keep holding lift, because if I let go of lift, I immediately start drawing. Alright, so I made a mistake, so I'm going to press menu. I'm going to go up to undo, press, let's see, select, I think it's select, yeah, and then I think I do lift, and it erased it. So now I'm ready to draw. I'm going to draw the bird. So I'm going to press and hold lift. And now that I'm on the bird itself, I'm going to start tracing the bird. And you should see the accompanying bird on the screen. And I'm just doing some of this because I don't want to bore the crap out of people. Alright, so I'm going to lift for a minute so I can go back up to this part of the wing. Oh yeah, you know what? So you can see it didn't lift. This lift button isn't working, it doesn't seem like. So now, so there we go. So I'm going to come back, and it's off the screen a little bit, so I'm going to come back down and draw some more of the bird's tail feathers. It's a little tough to move. It's kind of like wants a blocky movement rather than a nice fluid movement. You get used to it. I've only done this a handful of times, lifting. Okay, so if you look at the bird, it's relatively faithfully duplicated on the screen. It's obviously blocky, which is not super surprising based on the technology at the time, but it's there. I'm going to try some fill. You're going to see that if I fill it now, I'm going to be a problem because there's a small opening there. So if I filled in the wing, that would bleed, and there's actually a small gap here. This up here will actually help me kind of zoom in, and I should be able to fix it better. All right, so it froze up for whatever reason, so I'm redrawing it, and you'll be able to see a little bit better here how the Super Sketch works in terms of how it moves. Got to press lift to come up to this wing part. You can actually put a pencil in here, which would allow you to actually draw something more completely. Alright, so I'm going to try to show you how that zoom works, because again, there's a gap there, so if I fill this bird in, it'll leak out. So if I go up to the top corner, like it shifts it there, so it shifts it out of the way, which is smart, but it's going to make it harder to capture it. But here I am, if you can see at the bottom corner, there's that gap, right? So I can see that gap, and now I've clumsily filled it in. I'm over here where that beak is. I can again see that there's a gap. Fill it in. Lift. Down here, there's a gap. Jumps around on the screen a little bit, but there I just filled it in. So now I'm going to attempt to fill it in. I'm going to press menu. And again, you can see that going up. So I'm going to go up to fill. Actually, I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to make this a red bird, I guess. So I'm going to select. I'm going to go up to fill. Press select. Again, I'm going to press lift now. And actually you can, it says F, which is actually good. So when it's drawing, it's D. So I'm moving to where I want to go, and I'm going to press select. And it fills it in. There you go. Pretty well. And now I'm going to come over here, press select, and it fills it in. Let's see if I filled in, and again, so this small little section here, again, that zoom down here lets me know when I'm actually in there. So I'm going to press select, and I filled it in. So it's pretty well filled in, actually. Alright, so now I'm just going to free draw a cloud. I'm back in the menu. I wanted a black outline for a cloud, so I'm going to press select to get black. And again, the screen obviously turns black, so it tells me what color I'm at. And I want to draw, press select. So this is where I'm going to lift, press the lift button and hold. And when I, pretty much where I want to be, I'm going to just freehand some clouds. Okay, lift. Yeah, that is ugly. I'm not an artist. And actually, I'm going to go down here and put in some ground. Maybe some mountains. It's pretty terrible. So I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to fill in. I'm going to actually try to fill in some sky, nice light blue. So select, fill, select. Press lift to come back to the screen. I got the F, and so let's see what happens. See if I messed anything up here. It's cool how it fills it in, actually. All right, so it couldn't get through to here, so I got to come down. So if I want to see the little picture, I can go to Expert, press Select, and go to Show. And I think Lift, and there you go. So my cursor's not in there anymore. So, you know, pretty damn sweet, right? I could erase this whole thing. I could clear it, but I'm going to actually go to page 2. You can have 2 drawings at the same time. All right, and so I'm going to show you a couple of the Expert features that kind of make this fun. So I'm on Expert, I'm going to press Select, going to select Flip, and then I should be able to click Menu. I'm already on Draw, so now when I lift, you can see that what I do here is flipped. So you can kind of get a cool pattern. All right, so it's a little quirky how you switch back and forth between some of those things. So I'm going to go down to Expert, Select, and now if I want Mirror, it seems like I have to press Select, and then Lift, and then Menu. And now I'm on this one. I switched to black. I'm going to press Lift, and now, yeah, so now I could draw, theoretically, a really good face. I'm going to lift. Let me do something different. And it will be obviously a perfectly symmetrical face. I want to show you quick how you can pick different brushes. So Menu, I'm already on Brush, Select. I'm going to do a thicker one, so I'm going to Select, I'm going to Lift, and I'm still on Mirror. Wow, it's really slow. So there's a lag. That's interesting. So that's going to obviously, unless you go nice and slow, going to throw you off your drawing. That's cool. So can't quite process it. What is it, an 8-bit or 16-bit? Or actually, it's Commodore 64, 64-bit processor. There are other brushes you can choose. I'm going to go back. I'm going to pick a nice blue. And I should, yeah, so now I got, there's not as much lag on this one, for whatever reason. So I cleared those pictures. I'm starting some new ones, and one of my favorite things that I've seen is the quad version. Now I'm going to lift to bring it to the screen. Basically, as you can see, whatever I do in one quadrant happens in the other ones. To get out of that, you got to go to Expert, Select, and I think you have to press Reset, actually. Yeah, so it's just in that bottom corner. One of the nice things about the undo, so I'm going to go back to the menu. If I do the undo now, yeah, the undo, it'll only undo the last thing I did since going to the menu. So I'm going to select it and lift, I think. Yeah. So if I had done the whole thing and then press undo, it would have erased the whole thing. So you sort of want to go back and forth between the menu every once in a while. So I'm going to try filling it with some greens, I guess. And I'm going to do fill. And I think this also will happen in quad. Yeah, see? Ooh, cool. Let's just go crazy with this. So there it is. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's more sophisticated than you might think, and it's a lot of fun. The quad especially is a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to try to quickly show you some other features. This is an expert circle. Oh, that's interesting. So wherever you were, it actually start. Let me see. I'm going to press lift. Okay, so I can do here. And now, and I think if I press select, will it draw it? Oh my god. I don't know why that was horrible like that. I'm going to do box. Do whatever I think and then press select. Oh, I must be still in quad. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm still in quad. I'm going to do, I think lines. Let's try the copy and see if I remember how to do that. So I'm going to lift it. I'm going to try to copy the box, basically. Now it's going to have some purple in it. So I'm going to press select. Oh, wow, holy crud. So it did. It drew the box in there. So it's relatively sophisticated. I mean, again, I'm impressed. So this is because when I selected that, it had a little bit in there. Again, I don't know about you, but I'm impressed. So I've continued to play with this, and one thing I noticed is you can do the design. So some of the designs are easy. You click on, select this one, and it kind of shows you here what it's going to be. So now I can go back to the menu, I can pick fill, lift, and I can fill it. Select. Fill that in. Okay, so that's kind of neat. I'm going to pick a different design. I'm going to pick a different color, actually. Pick green. And I'm going to pick a different design. I can do the brick one, for instance, and fill it up with bricks. So that's kind of cool. That's actually like a checker pattern. Lines. But here's the kind of cool thing. You can actually make your own design. I'm going to actually switch to red. And if I go down to here, you can probably see that I can move about to anything I want. So I can change. Right now I'm on red. So I can change this to red, this to red, this to red, anything, right? And now I can go back up and I can do a brown. And I can go back up. And there is some limit with colors. I didn't really understand it. See, I think those actually just changed. I'm going to do a red. And now if I go back to the menu, I'm on fill. That bizarre pattern is actually kind of cool. Fills that up. So you can, again, do any design that you want. You can actually do the same thing with the brush. So here's the brush. I can actually, only with black and white, I've cleared the whole palette by selecting white, and now I'm going to do kind of like a star. I'm just going to draw now. Lift. Oh, I'm going to lift again. And I should be drawing in that. Yeah, so this has always confused me a little bit. So I think actually I'm using that design to draw with that brush. So if I go to design, press select, and I go back to kind of full, and then back to menu, I think now it'll make a little bit more sense. Yeah, so now, see, okay, yeah. So how you draw is a combination of the design and the brush. This is something I did previously. So I'm on page 2 here. I'm going to go to page 1. I was able to put in a grid pattern and was then able to do the blue lines, fill it in, and then by accident got those grid patterns back when I did a swap. And I've been amazed by what I was able to do, and I've really had fun with it. Again, the thing that I think I've had the most fun with is that ability to make my own patterns, make my own designs. So again, I can do pretty much whatever I want here. So Let me just do one last one. Quickly show the swap feature. And I'm on swap. Press lift. And now, whatever color, so I want to switch the blue to the orange. So I'm going to press select, and everything instantly changes to orange. So that's a quick way to change colors. So if I want to switch it and greens to browns, I select brown, lift, and I want to change green to brown. So I'm on green, and there's all changed to browns. Not too surprisingly, there's an erase option. So you can erase whatever you want. So I've shown you most of the different features on here. Again, there's ways to do rays, horizontal lines. This one I did with the line feature, which let me draw straight lines, circles, and things like that. So there's a few more features in there, but you have a good sense of what this is and just some of the things that you can do with it. So I'm curious to see how this works. So I'm going to open it up and look inside. How does it translate the movement of the arm into the drawing on the screen? Okay, so here's the back. There appears to be 4 screws. 1, 2, a little deeper, 3, and then over here actually 4. So I will take those out. So I have the 4 screws out. I tend to keep them in order. These all look the same, so it probably doesn't matter, but on the off chance that it does, I'll keep them like that, kind of in the same position that I have here. All right, so I flipped it back over carefully. I held it, and it pretty much wants to come off. I actually took this off once before, and what happens is these buttons actually on the edges keep it in there. If you can barely see, there's this like almost little shelf that as you try to pick it up, it's going to get in the way of the button. So I remove that button, and I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to hopefully be able to wiggle this one out too. But now this will come straight off. So here's what I'm seeing. There is what I think to be a linear potentiometer here. And there's actually one that you can just barely see underneath here. I'll give you a shot, a closer look in a minute, but just as an overview. So as I go left and right, this potentiometer is moving. And when I go up and down, oh, there you go, you can see it a little bit better there. That one's moving. So obviously, depending on the movement, I can move them both at the same time. Remember, this plugs into the joystick port. And generally with the joystick, at least my understanding of a joystick is either it's kind of on or off. You know, if you go left, basically one button is turned on or off. You go right, that button's turned on or off. Up, down, on or off, and then the fire button. So this is not on or off. At least that's not my understanding. This is, you know, increasing or decreasing the voltage. So there's got to be something that the Commodore 64, some way that they can read it. I don't know what's allowing it to do that, so I want to take a little bit of a closer look at this. So I removed 2 more buttons, pulling them straight up. And I've actually released this, but this side what I'm going to do, and I probably won't be able to film it, is basically what I'm doing is pinching the tan part together, and then this is able to come up. So let me show you how this will now theoretically come up. So this arm will just come out straight up. When you put it back in, this has to go into the small hole in the second potentiometer. But you can get a sense of how this moves. There's also this kind of shield, which just comes straight up. So now you have a better sense of what's going on. This can move back and forth, left, right. That potentiometer then registers left-right movement, and then because this is in this hole, as it moves up and down, it registers that movement. So you can imagine it's going up and down, registering movement, vertical, you know, up and down, and left and right. And each of the potentiometers has this band of, you know, this, it's essentially a wire, but it's a flat belt, I don't know what you'd call it, but it kind of goes through, picks up the buttons, because that has to do it, and then it goes over to here, where it then is going to eventually go to the actual, the plug. One of the things that I think is strange about this is that, they have this kind of ribbony cable, but they have actual physical connection. So there's a metal physical connection between here and here. There's these resistors, which, they probably need. I'm assuming they need the resistors to decrease the amount of power that's going in. There's another resistor over here. But again, what you don't see is any other integrated circuit, any chip, any other device that would turn the variable voltage from the potentiometer into a signal that the Commodore should be able to interpret. So that's a puzzle. So I think I solved the mystery. So I finally took off the case, and this is what's inside. So there's the integrated circuit that seems to take the data from the potentiometers and convert it into something the computer can understand. All right, so that's it. That is the super sketch for the Commodore 64. I think there were versions for maybe the Texas Instruments, maybe the Sega Genesis, but this one was for the Commodore 64. And you can see, as I've shown you in the video, I hope, that it was pretty great. It was pretty fantastic, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or can correct anything that I said incorrectly, please feel free to comment below. Thanks.